You're listening to Points Everywhere, the podcast where busy people learn to take amazing trips for minimal out-of-pocket cost without having to devote a ton of time to the process. I'm your host, Courtney. I'm a mom, traveler, and primary care physician. I'll share the secret strategies my family uses to earn points and miles so that you and your family can travel everywhere for almost free, just like us. Welcome back to Points Everywhere. Are you struggling to decide which credit card to get next? Or which credit card to get first? It can be tough to look at all the different bonus offers for credit cards and pick the one that is going to help you earn the most free travel. There are a lot of factors that play into which card will get you the most for your money, and it's really not a simple one-size-fits-all. It kind of depends on where you want your points to take you. Let's explore what factors you should consider before choosing a points-earning card, whether it's your first or your 31st. Then we'll dive into a few of my personal favorites that make sense for almost everyone. Let's first talk about what factors to consider when you're thinking about which card to open first or next. Number one is that I recommend prioritizing transferable points first. This means that if you are early on in your points earning journey, you really want to open transferable points earning cards, such as Amex points, Chase points, Citi thank you points, versus brand specific cards or co-branded cards. So like a Delta card, a Hyatt card. Those co-branded cards are in general ones that you want to save for later on in your points earning journey once you've established good earning with the transferable points. That's because having transferable points available to you allows you so much more flexibility when you are booking trips. Having 100,000 Chase points versus 100,000 Delta miles is vastly different in terms of what possibilities are available to you. With Chase points, you could book flights through multiple different airlines, and you can book hotel stays. Delta miles can only book Delta flights, essentially, with a few exceptions, like booking through partner airlines. But without making things more complex, especially for a beginner, you really just want to start with transferable points that you can use for multiple purposes. That way, you have the ability to book lots of different types of trips with points from just one card if you want to take things a bit slower at first and just start with one transferable points currency. So that's number one. Prioritize transferable points over airline or hotel specific points. Number two, figure out what type of transferable points are going to help best meet your travel goals. What do I mean by this? Well, not all transferable points can be used everywhere. Each transferable point has their own list of what partners they can transfer points to. So before you dive deep into any specific points currency, you want to think at least a little bit vaguely about what you're thinking to do with the points. You don't necessarily have to have an exact trip in mind, although you certainly could do it that way. You could know you want to go to, say, Hawaii for a week, and you could plan out a card to meet that purpose. But in general, if you just kind of know, I'd like to take a few domestic trips in the next couple of years, or I'm looking to get my family over to Europe, depending on what you're planning to do with your points will influence which points you'd like to earn. Whether it's where you're traveling, whether you're looking to book primarily hotel stays, and if so, is it more luxury hotel stays you're looking for or more budget-friendly options? There's just really a bunch of factors that you want to think about before deciding on a points currency. So let's kind of delve into each of the transferable points currencies and which situations you might want to consider earning that type of points. We'll start with Chase, which is one of my favorite transferable points currencies. Chase, in general, is the currency that I recommend for beginners for several reasons. One is it's really flexible. You can use Chase points to do pretty much anything. You can book hotel stays, you can book flights, and the transfer partners for Chase include some very familiar domestic airlines, which is not true for all of the transferable points currencies. So as a beginner, Chase points can be much more approachable because you can transfer those points to, for example, Southwest and United, and those are airlines that most people are really familiar with and feel comfortable booking with, especially for domestic travel. Chase also has lots of transfer partners for flying abroad as well, which again is what makes it great. Chase points really are very flexible. So I typically recommend starting with Chase points. Another great thing about Chase points for starting out, in addition to the flexibility, is that you can get in and earn a good number of points and be able to transfer out to partners without having to pay a high annual fee. Next up, I'll talk about Bilt points. Bilt points are also great beginner points and have some really unique transfer partners that make them arguably the most valuable of the transferable points. I wouldn't put this one first in terms of recommending for a beginner because the Bilt program really has quite a bit of complexity to it, making it less beginner approachable. It's not that beginners can't use it, but probably not the currency I would recommend starting with. But if you've already gotten into one or two of the other currencies and you're looking to earn really valuable, flexible points, Bilt is an amazing option. The transfer partners that make Bilt really the most valuable are transfers to Hyatt, which you can otherwise only get through Chase, Alaska Airlines, which is a great way to book all kinds of both domestic and international flights, including being able to book American Airlines flights typically for less than you would spend by booking through American directly. And Japan Airlines as well, which is a great way to, of course, get to Japan, but also a great way to fly to Europe on some of Japan Airlines transfer partners, often for very low rates. So Bilt is a great consideration if you're looking to utilize any of those specific transfer partners. There are, of course, many more, but that's another one to consider. So for Hyatt stays, domestic and international flights, Bilt in general has a really well-rounded list and is a great place to earn transferable points. Next up is Amex. Amex points are great, but they are a bit less flexible, in my opinion, than Chase and Bilt. I tend to use my Amex points, and I think a lot of people tend to use their Amex points for traveling internationally, and especially for traveling internationally in business class. That in general is the best way to get high value from Amex points, but doesn't have to mean that that's the only way you use Amex points. The hotel options when transferring out to partners are less strong than with Chase or Bilt, where you've got Hyatt as an option. But Amex does transfer to Hilton at a 1-to-2 ratio, meaning if you transfer 1,000 Amex points, you will get 2,000 Hilton points. Sometimes, because Hilton hotels tend to be much higher in terms of the points price for booking, this doesn't work out to be a great deal, but I definitely have done some hotel stays through Hilton with Amex points. So Amex points in general are great to earn if you're looking to travel internationally. Next, we'll talk about Capital One miles. Capital One miles are pretty flexible. In fact, in some ways, they are the most flexible points because they have a special feature called the Purchase Eraser, where you are able to book anything that codes as travel on the Capital One card and then erase that purchase using points. When you do this, you are getting 1 cent in value for each point that you use, which is in general a bit lower than the value you might get from each point spent if you were transferring out to partners or redeeming the points a different way. With that said, it does allow you to get the cost of a trip all the way down to 0, and it allows you to use points for things that typically wouldn't be bookable on points, so things like Airbnbs, cruises, train tickets. So that option really does make Capital One miles a great place for a beginner to start. Capital One miles are also great for international flights. They've got many excellent international partners, including Turkish Airlines, Emirates, Cathay Pacific, and many more. And then Capital One miles can also be transferred out to Choice and Wyndham, which if you listened to my hotel booking episode previously, you know that Wyndham is really an awesome up-and-coming option in terms of a place to book great hotels for awesome value on points. Next is Citi. Citi thank you points have a decent mix of uses. For hotels, Choice is really the best option with Citi points, in my opinion. So if you're looking for more luxury hotel stays with a bigger footprint, you probably want a different type of transferable point if your main focus is booking hotels. Next up is Citi. Citi thank you points can be transferred out to Choice and Wyndham. similarly to Capital One. So there's decent options with regards to booking hotel stays. There's lots of airline partners, but notably American Airlines. Citi is the only type of points that can be transferred out to American Airlines at the time of recording. So if you're looking to earn a lot of American airline miles, opening a card that earns Citi points is a great strategy. They also have JetBlue, Eva Air, and many other options for airlines to transfer out to. So as you can see, there is a lot of overlap between which partners you can transfer each type of point to, but there are some unique transfer partners that you can really only get from one of the transferable points or a couple of them. So it is a good idea to think about, in general, what type of travel you're looking to take before you decide on what type of points you're going to start earning. Number 3, when you are thinking about what credit card to open, how much is the welcome offer or any other promotions? This may seem obvious, but welcome offers are definitely not fixed. So your strategy with this may change based on what welcome offers are available. In general, there will be sort of a base number of points that one would typically get for signing up for a certain card. And then periodically, banks will offer elevated sign-on bonuses. And that can be a great time to take advantage of getting a specific card. If you have some flexibility in which different cards you would be willing to open next, you can kind of wait and see what elevated sign-on bonuses are available and jump on the elevated offers when they happen. That can be a great way to earn extra points without having to open additional cards. When you are looking at welcome offers, please remember that not all points are created equal. Transferable points are, in general, going to be much more valuable than any specific airline or hotel program points. So again, prioritize those transferable points earning cards. 100,000 Bilt points is not the same as 100,000 Southwest points. You really want to prioritize those points that you can use for multiple purposes. Even then, within the different programs, not all points are created equal. So for example, Delta Sky miles, Hilton miles, Marriott points, those all tend to have much lower value in terms of the cents per point that you would get when redeeming it. And so just remember, when you're looking at welcome offers, you're not necessarily comparing apples to apples. You might see, say, a Hilton sign-on bonus that's 200,000 points, and that seems incredible. But then, if you step back, you'll remember that one Amex point is worth 2 Hilton points. So a 100,000 point sign-on bonus through Amex would be equal to a 200,000 point sign-on bonus with Hilton. So don't just see a big number and get excited. Think about what type of points are being earned and what the value is there. Also considered in the welcome offer is not just looking at the number of points earned, but any special things that you get with signing up. For example, some of the co-branded cards like the Hilton card or the Marriott card will come with free night certificates as part of the sign-on bonus. So just remember to take that into account when you're thinking about the value of the sign-on bonus. Up for number 4 factor to consider when deciding which card to open is whether you can comfortably meet the minimum spend to earn the welcome offer. A very important concept with earning points and miles to redeem for free travel is that you cannot spend money you do not have. If you are doing that, you are not earning free travel. If you are going into debt to meet a sign-on bonus, buying things you don't need, or spending money you don't have, you're going to wind up paying interest, and the amount you pay in interest is not going to make the free things that you earn worth it. So it's really important to look at the terms of the sign-on bonus for a card, how much money you have to spend in what period of time, and whether or not that makes sense for you and your family at the time you're signing up. That may change. There may be times when you have taxes due and you're planning on putting that expense on a credit card and be able to meet a higher sign-on bonus than usual. Or really, if you've got any periods where you need to make a big purchase, that could be a time to try to get a card that has a sign-on bonus threshold that might be higher than what you would normally spend. Just think strategically about whether or not you can meet that minimum spend. Otherwise, you're either not going to get the welcome offer if you don't meet the minimum spend, or if you're stretching your budget too far to meet that minimum spend, it really doesn't make sense anymore. Factor number 5 to consider with opening a credit card is the annual fee. Now, there's sort of 2 parts to this calculation. One is, do you have the cash to front the annual fee at the time you're signing up? When you sign up for a card, you're going to be billed that annual fee right away in that first statement, and you need to pay it at the end of that month when the statement closes. So you really have to have that cash on hand for the annual fee in order for it to make sense to sign up for a particular card. There are all kinds of reasons why paying a high annual fee can absolutely make sense. Most of the higher annual fee cards come with lots and lots of credits and other perks that can make it actually much more valuable to hold the card and get the benefits from it than what you're paying in the annual fee. The thing is, if you don't have the cash for the annual fee right up front when you sign up, it doesn't matter. You are no longer making the math because if you're not able to pay off that balance at the end of the statement closure, you're going to be charged interest and it's no longer getting you high value or free things. So number one is that you can pay the annual fee up front. If the answer is yes, then there's sort of part two of that calculation, which is what benefits do you get with that card, and do those benefits make paying the annual fee worth it? A general rule of thumb is that in the first year of opening a card, the annual fee pretty much is always worth it. Because if you think about the number of points that you're getting with that sign-on bonus, plus whatever card benefits you get when you have the card, you're going to get really incredible value for essentially every card with the sign-on bonus in the first year because you're getting that sign-on bonus plus all the other coupons and credits that come with the card. So for year one, as long as you can pay the annual fee up front, it's probably worth it for the amount of free travel that you're going to earn. Next part of the calculation really comes into whether or not you want to keep a card, which is really a whole separate decision than whether or not you want to get a card. And you might not even know at the time you open a card whether or not you intend to keep the card forever. That's sort of a whole separate decision point. People get hung up on, what am I going to use this card for? What are the earning categories? What are the ongoing benefits? And those are all really good things to consider. But honestly, you'll notice that most of these things I'm talking about so far are really more just thinking about the welcome offer, what types of points you're earning, and I'm really not delving all that much into the bonus categories. We will get there, but those aren't the most important things. Because really, when you sign up for a card, you're trying to earn that sign-on bonus. That's the main reason. Then, in a year, you can decide whether or not you want to keep that card on an ongoing basis. Another thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about annual fees and credits to offset the annual fees and whether that all makes it worth it, you want to think about the timing of opening the card. Some card benefits are per card member year, meaning if you get a card in March, you have this certain benefit to use between March and the following March, within 12 months, your card member year. One credit that works like this is the $300 travel credit with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. So it's once per card member year. For a lot of other card benefits, they are per calendar year, per half year, or per quarter. And so if you time signing up for the card correctly, like you get a card in November or December, you can wind up doing what's called triple dipping, where essentially you get all of those benefits that you get every half year or year 3 times with paying only one annual fee. The way that this works is, say you sign up for a card in December. You get all of those per year, per quarter, per half year benefits. You just use them all up right in December, right when you open the card. Then in January, all of those benefits reset and you can start earning them again. You come around to the end of your card member year, December again. You would then pay your annual fee a second time after it's been a year. Hold on to that card a little bit longer into January. Use all of those benefits again that are available to you for that first half of the year, first quarter. Then you can either downgrade or cancel the card. And if it's within 30 days for most card issuers, you can have the annual fee either refunded in most cases or prorated for that small portion of the year. So do think about timing and the benefits of the card in terms of which card you want to open and when. There definitely is strategy with the timing. So that was number 5. Think about the annual fee and the credits that you will get to offset the annual fee. as well as the timing of opening the card. Number 6 factor to consider when deciding what card to open is, might it be a keeper card, and prioritize earning at least one keeper card earlier on in your strategy. This is because of the way that credit scores are calculated. If you're not familiar with this, head on back to episode 8, Won't This Ruin My Credit Score?, where I talk all about how credit scores are calculated and why the timing of your keeper cards matters. Essentially, you want at least one anchor card, your oldest card, that you keep open essentially forever. So if you don't already have some other non-points earning credit cards that you're planning on keeping, you want to consider opening a card that you don't mind keeping in the long term earlier on so that you can keep that credit history long. If you've already got some older cards that aren't points earning and are no annual fee cards from before diving into the points and miles hobby, this is a little bit less important because you can just keep those initial cards that you opened years ago. That will keep your credit history nice and long. If you're starting out points earning with your first or maybe second credit card, think about opening early on a credit card that you will keep. Factors to consider there in terms of what cards you might keep are annual fee, and if you're willing to pay that on an ongoing basis, and then also what are the bonus categories earned for spend. So how many points do you get with each type of spending? Does it earn a big multiplier on groceries or dining or gas, or does it earn a higher fixed rate on all purchases? That is something to consider when opening any card, but it certainly matters a lot more when you're thinking about opening a keeper card. And again, you might not know for sure whether or not a card is a keeper when you open it, but earlier on, plan to have a couple of keeper cards. Number 7 factor is to consider credit card rules and restrictions with regards to either the order you have to open cards for certain banks to be eligible for all the different sign-up bonuses, or, for example, the 524 rule with Chase. So what rules and restrictions are going to limit you in terms of which cards you actually have the option to open, and also which cards might you strategize opening first. For example, 524 rule for Chase. If you're not familiar, Chase has this rule where if you have opened 5 new credit card accounts within the past 24 months, you will not be approved for a Chase card. You just won't. Hard stop. So you do want to prioritize earning Chase points earning cards earlier on if you plan to open at least 5 cards within 24 months, which a lot of people do when they're in the world of points and miles. So consider getting into Chase points earlier on in your strategy. I do recommend, if you want to earn Capital One miles, also consider getting a Capital One card earlier on as well. If you listen to my last episode about earning Capital One miles, you'll hear about how I was actually denied for a Capital One card because I had opened several cards in the time period leading up to my application, and Capital One is definitely sensitive to that. So do consider opening a Capital One card earlier on if you know you want a Capital One card. And then other card order rules, for example, if you're planning on earning Amex points, I strongly recommend opening an Amex Gold if you think you ever want that, because once you open the Amex Platinum, you cannot go backward and earn a sign-on bonus from the Amex Gold. So in order to get the sign-on bonuses for all the personal Amex cards, you have to open first green, then gold, then platinum in that order. And if you don't get the sign-on bonuses. So definitely think about those little rules that each bank has. In terms of the factors to consider when deciding what card to open, those are the 7 that I consider the most important. 1, are you earning transferable points? Because that's really the best place to start. 2, what type of transferable point would you like to earn to meet your travel goals? 3, what's the welcome offer? And how good is that welcome offer in the context of what type of points are being earned? 4, how comfortably can you meet the minimum spend to earn said welcome offer? 5, what's the annual fee and the credits to offset the annual fee? 6, what are the bonus categories for points earned on different type of spending, and does that make sense for you in your spending patterns? And 7, what rules do you need to consider in terms of what cards you are eligible to open or earn sign-on bonuses on? Thinking about those 7 rules really should give you a pretty good idea of what different cards might make the most sense for you. There are a few favorite cards of mine that make sense for almost everybody if you're looking to get into points and miles. So if all those questions just sounded a little too complicated and too much to think about, Here's a few cards that you could pick and really just can't go wrong with. First, probably not a surprise, but I'll start with Chase. Chase points are just really beginner friendly, both in ease of earning, ease of redeeming. I recommend the Chase Sapphire Preferred for most beginners, but one of my points hot takes is that the Chase Sapphire Reserve really is a good beginner card, even though most people don't think about it as a beginner card because it has a high annual fee. For most, pick the Preferred, but based on new changes to the Chase program, Chase points are now no longer going to transfer to Hyatt one-to-one with the Chase Sapphire Preferred. You will have to have the higher level Chase Sapphire Reserve personal card to be able to transfer from Chase to Hyatt one-to-one with a personal card. So that might factor in. The other thing to think about is the Chase Sapphire Reserve is a great, easy way to get your entire family into an airport lounge. There are lots of cards that earn lounge access, but in terms of being able to get the whole family in with a Priority Pass membership, the Chase Sapphire Reserve is an awesome option. The Chase Sapphire Reserve comes with a ton of coupons with varying degrees of ease for redeeming that really do help offset the annual fee. So for me, I love my Chase Sapphire Reserve and plan to keep it, and it really could be a great beginner card if the annual fee doesn't scare you off. But again, for most, I would say Chase Sapphire Preferred for the beginner card if you're thinking Chase. Card number 2 for a favorite card that makes sense for almost everyone. I'm going to lump these two together, the Capital One Venture or the Venture X. Both of these are super simple, earn 2 times points on all spending, and earn really flexible points. In my last episode, I delved into the Capital One program, and there I talked more about the differences between the Venture and the Venture X, but both of these are really no-brainer, awesome options for anyone that wants to earn transferable points. Number 3, the Bilt Palladium. This one might be a little bit of a hot take. The Bilt program, when they rolled out their credit cards, there was a lot of backlash. The program was very clunky at rollout. There was a ton of complexity to it. They then changed a lot of how the card worked shortly after releasing it. It was just kind of a mess, the whole opening with the Bilt 2.0 credit cards, the most recent ones that are out. And there really is a lot of complexity to the Bilt program. I will do an episode all about the Bilt program and the Bilt credit cards coming soon. But for now, I would say that the Bilt Palladium really is a solid card for almost everybody. And that's because it earns 2 times points on all purchases, so it's super simple. And you can use what's called Bilt Cash, which is basically another type of currency that you earn with spending and with the sign-up bonus for this card. You earn both Bilt points and Bilt Cash with each dollar that you spend. Yes, it's complex. But that Bilt Cash can be used to do what's called Points Boost. So essentially, you can spend some of that Bilt Cash you earn from your spending to boost up your earnings on everyday spend from 2 times points per dollar spent to 3 times points per dollar spent. And that can be done on $25,000 worth of purchases per year. Bilt also offers options to earn points on mortgage and rent, which is where a lot of the complexity comes in. But honestly, even if you don't want to use the card for that purpose, you can just use it for earning 3x on everything using that points boost option up to $25,000 in spend a year, and then earn 2x the rest of the time. These points, as I mentioned before, are super valuable. So earning 2 or even 3x just makes this a really powerful card. Bilt points are also really flexible, have a lot of ways they can be utilized. They have awesome transfer bonuses. And this card is another great way to get lounge access for an entire family. So though this is a higher annual fee card at $495, higher than most of the beginner cards that I recommend, this is a solid card for almost everybody, whether or not you want to use the card to earn points on rent or mortgage. It just makes sense for most people. There are 2 other Bilt cards, but this really is the one that I consider the no-brainer. Anyone could probably benefit from this card option. And this is the only one that has a sizable sign-on bonus with points out of the Bilt collection. There are lots of other cards that I love and would recommend, but those are the few that I would say pretty much anyone could benefit from opening those cards. I'll end with a few tips about Things to remember when you are opening a card. Once you've decided what card you want to open, remember timing. When you're choosing to open a card, be strategic about the timing when you're opening it. If you're looking to earn a Southwest Companion Pass, for example, where you can get essentially buy one, get one free flights for almost 2 years, you want to consider when to open the Southwest cards to earn those points and when to meet the sign-on bonus so that you can get not just a year, but almost 2 years worth of Southwest Companion Pass. That's a whole other topic in itself, and if you would like to hear more about that, let me know. I would love to do an episode on earning a Companion Pass. That's one option when to think about timing. Also thinking about the cards with quarterly, yearly credits that are by calendar year. Thinking about getting it right at the end of the calendar year so that you can maximize or triple dip on those benefits. You also want to think about the timing in terms of which card you opened last and when. In general, 3 months is a great rule, in my opinion. If you're waiting 3 months between opening new credit cards, you should be good. Some people will open accounts as soon as 30 days from their last, or even shorter. 30 days would be the soonest that I would recommend, but often I'll wait until that 90-day mark, 3 months, to open a new card. When you sign up for your card, remember not to add an authorized user in almost every case. This is because if you have someone that, you normally would think about adding as an authorized user, a partner, spouse, you want them to join you in this hobby and earn points too. So if you're signing up for a new card, say the Venture X, you do not want to add them as an authorized user because you want them to later be able to get the Venture X on their own from a referral from you and earn their own sign-on bonus. So you're essentially doubling your points earning by using that player too. If you add them as an authorized user, it messes with that whole strategy. So just sign yourself up. Don't add anyone as an authorized user as a general rule. And then later you have the option to refer your player two and have them sign up for the card. They earn the sign-on bonus and you earn referral points. Remember also when you sign up for a new card to immediately log into the app for the bank that your card is through and set up auto pay. This way you don't have to remember to do it later. It is automatic. The full statement balance will be deducted from your checking account each month when it's due, and you just don't have to think about it, and you will never miss a payment and you will never pay interest, which again is key to success in the world of credit card points and miles, not paying interest. Also remember to track when you need to meet the sign-on bonus so that you don't miss it. It's tragic. I've never done this, thankfully, but tragic when people do not meet their sign-on bonus, especially if it's just by, a couple days or a couple $100s. Keep in mind that purchases don't always post the day that you make the purchase. Say I bought some things online today, those might show as pending for a couple of days, and then the payment posts a few days later. So if you're waiting till the 11th hour when you need to meet your sign-on bonus, you really don't want to be cutting it close. You want to make sure you're meeting that minimum spend well within the time period where you are meeting the spend and getting those points before the designated time period. You can set reminders in your phone to make sure that you've met the minimum spend several days before the date of completion needs to be, or you can use apps for this. I use apps like Card Pointers and Travel Freely, where you input which cards you apply for and when, and then it will send you reminders that, Travel Freely in particular, will send you reminders that you need to finish up meeting your sign-on bonus before it's due. And it will also remind you when you got annual fees coming up so that you can decide if you want to keep that card or close or downgrade it. Another factor to consider that I really didn't delve into in this episode is whether the card is a business or a personal card. I haven't delved a ton into business cards yet because beginners tend to be a bit shy of opening business cards. But that is a really important part of points earning strategy, and you likely qualify for a business card if you do anything that earns you some extra income. I will do an episode dedicated to signing up for business cards, but for now, I really did just focus this episode on personal points earning cards. Business cards can also be a great part of your points earning strategy because they, in general, don't count towards that 524 rule with Chase. They, in general, don't show on your personal credit report. So just something else to consider when you're thinking about whether or not you want to open a specific card or which card to open next is whether it's a business or a personal card. There are lots of factors to consider when thinking about what card to open, whether you're just starting out earning points or you've been into the hobby for a while. Just remember those factors we discussed when considering what card you should open next. Still not sure which card is right for you? Feel free to reach out and I'd love to help you with the process. Happy traveling! Thanks for joining me on Points Everywhere. For more Points and Miles secrets, follow me on Instagram at Points Everywhere. For referral links to my favorite cards, check out pointseverywhere.com. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would love it if you could take a minute to leave me some stars and a review. See you next time.